we're going to be breaking down the making of 7 minutes today. And so I don't have all the equipment here. I actually, everything that I used to record this was my audio interface, which is my Scarlett Solo and my dad's Fender Rhodes. And it was honestly such a good experience playing a real Fender Rhodes. So let's see. I broke this down once before on like a really shitty stream, but now we're gonna do this like the real official thing. So okay, top single right now, 7 minutes.
I bet you're upstairs at a party. I bet you're sipping on a 40. I bet you've never felt less.
Let's see. We'll start with the main thing, which was the keys. Now this was before my workflow was ever truly organized, so everything is kind of just put in here. We maxed out at about like 23 tracks, which is honestly nowhere near the projects I do now. But starting off, we have the keys, which are panned to the left a little bit. Now this is like the actual Rhodes, and to be honest, I had no idea what the fuck I was doing with the processing here, but I mean at the time, guess it sounded good. That's now that's in C major. The story of how I came up with that was I was actually trying to come up with a chord progression that sounded somewhat jazzy, and here comes the verse. This isn't the actual patch, but you get it right here. So that's the verse section. Whole song is in C major, and going from there, we'll start with actually like the bass line, since that's also one of the prominent things, or move on to the bass line, I should say. Now this actually, oh shit, hit my mic. This actually comes from Trillion, and I'm not sure which patch I use, but Trillion does have the realest sounding bass that there is. And so that's also in C major. Let's see. The one that we have loaded right now is called the Retro 60s. So moving on from that, let's see. I have this Waves plugin called JJP Bass Stereo. No, yeah, JJP Bass. No stereo, is just the output that it's on. And back then, like, you know, I also didn't know too much about like bass processing, but at least the one good thing that I did was boost this little area here around like 200 hertz. And I do like the tone that kind of comes out of that.
I bet you're upstairs at a party. I bet you're sipping on a 40.
It kind of gives it like, there's always in a lot of songs like they kind of have the bass just like laying back and not too prominent, but very, very audible, and so that's kind of what I was aiming for. So for the bass, yeah, that's just the two things, just EQ and JGP on that. So moving on from that, we have the bass slides, but actually my computer never kept track of where I put these files, so that file's missing. But there is a bass slide in there. It kind of just goes, it slides down like a lot more, honestly, but you know, don't have the audio reference. So going from there, we have a little synth that's sort of hidden in the background, sort of not, but this is for the verse section, just to kind of add some more, for lack of a better phrase, just detail to it.
Grab her hand and walk to do more than talk. Take her t-shirt off.
Now we're gonna shout out No Way one more time, Mr. Legs once more, for the microKORG, and that provided this little background synth sound. I have an auto pan on here to actually just, it kind of speaks for itself, just auto pan everything left and right, so there's a little more dynamic to it. And so that actually was recorded in mono too, so that kind of helps it out. And of course it's quantized here under the waveform. And so other most prominent thing as well, we have the drums, and if you use Logic, actually, these, you honestly probably recognize these drums.
At a party, I bet you're sipping on a 40. I bet you've never felt less sorry. I bet her pretty lips are boring.
And so we kept, we pretty much just used multiband compression here and a little bit of an EQ. Back then, I wasn't aiming for too much processing because I always think that too much processing can end up making a sound ultimately just bad. But processing skills have improved since then, so honestly, this could have been a lot better. This is the Detroit kit from Logic. So yeah, that's that comes all from Logic. And so how the workflow generally goes is that I'll map something out in here. For example, we'll just probably map out like a small pattern for on the floor and draw notes, whatever here, and then hit File, Export, and then it'll have all my tracks selected, or I'll select all my tracks and then it'll give me the option to export all of them. So that's usually how it goes. I create like an individual folder for the project, and so I'll just get all the audio samples out of that. So moving on from here, we have the chorus section, and this right now we're specifically just focused on the instrumental. We'll get to work on the vocal processing in a bit.
Cherry lips begging, soft skin you're begging. Take the stairway to 7 minutes in heaven. Out of 10 she's 11. Soft skin you're begging. Take the stairway to 7 minutes in heaven with her.
And so we have in the background just a here, let me go ahead and change my my mapping here. We have a little electric piano that just more or less reinforces the ADLIBs, or acts like an ADLIB. So that hides in the background. That kind of just adds a little more emphasis.
Take the stairway to 7 minutes in heaven. Out of 10 she's 11. Soft skin you're begging. Take the stairway to 7 minutes in heaven with her.
Okay. And so one of the signature things that I started doing around this around then, this was made in 2018 actually. I produced this song in 2018 and only released it in like 2019. This went through a few revisions, but besides that, we have this high chord right here. And of course I have that processed under some reverb. Oh, I have a compressor on it for some reason, but you know, there's some reverb here, and of course I just put like a really long delay so that just creates like that little sparkle on top of it.
Cherry lips begging, soft skin you're begging. Take
Creates a more dramatic hit.
7 minutes in heaven now.
And so, hi Ma, you guys wanna say hi to Mom? Well, actually no. She's the camera is like actually pointed. I'm breaking down one of my songs right now on stream.
Okay.
Hmm?
I have food.
Okay,
Well,
I'll eat later.
It's very good food too.
No problem. I'll eat later, Mom. All right. Okay, so getting back to it. Let's see. We have another impact here, which is the C major 6. The verse goes from C major 6 to C major 7, so. So we have, once again, this impact right here. Processed under the same track, of course. And so there's only like a few more hits in here. But yeah, now going, let's see, let's go more into the song now. We pretty much have all of the basic parts of the instrumental down. It's literally just keys, drum, and bass.
I can't quite feel the void.
Second chorus now. that impact up there.
Take the stairway to
ADLIB.
7 minutes in heaven out of 10 she's 11. Soft skin you're begging. Take the
ADLIB once more.
stairway to 7 minutes in heaven with her.
And so this part is actually when the bass changes up, and I absolutely love doing this with the bass, and it's like this this octave thing. Let's go back here so I can like show you guys it. It's we're mapped under a trillion now. So that's what it like kind of sounds like, but here I'll let you guys listen to it in solo, and then we'll do a preview in context. Oh, that's the bridge, sorry. So that's the bridge section, which also comes back for the vamp to fade section, which is the chorus to fade. So we're not actually running too many tracks too for the vocals. I think it's only about 1, 2, 3, about like maximum of like 5, maybe 4. So going into the bridge now, the solo section. I wish I could like just change it with a button on here. I actually I didn't record this on the actual Rhodes. I used the Logic one, which is among one of my favorites just at the moment right now. I mean, if you don't have any other plugins, it works. So we're in I did that on the like the lower octave, but it's just, and then we have like a little Hey ADLIB that I just fucking sampled from a Camilo song for no reason, honestly. This is back in like 2018, so. I was really big on panning. So this is just a lot of these things are panned, but yeah, this is panned a little bit to the right. And this was also done to give more room to Maris's ad-libs. So we have everything processing in here is or everything that I use for processing is the EQ, compressor, Kramer tape, and multiband. This Kramer tape plugin is actually just responsible for the delay, which is over here on the right hand side. And I really like the delay on it because, you know, it's tape sounding. Everybody loves the tape sound. And so the chords for this are C major. It goes from C major 7 to G major 6 to A major 7. And so the main purpose of this was for this to kind of, I kind of like, you know, it quite literally just to me sounds like, you know, a bridge section, or I've always imagined it as like bridge chords. And so everything here is more or less just simple so that it holds up this solo part that kind of is just to put emphasis on that. So and so I actually I don't think I have the original project where I produced it in Logic, but there's some ghost notes in here. So it's like, and so that was pretty important to the bass to help making it sound a lot more real. Plus I really like mute notes anyways. And so last thing that we have here really is the part 2 of the solo, and I recorded this separately, which is the key roll. And that was just simple as that. So going into it now, just arpeggio. Now this tape plugin here just like distorts it a tiny bit. I was trying to go for the most real, most like natural sound, and of course trying to make it sound either 80s or 70s. So okay, so we have a little thing that hides in the background again. Some rhythm keys. Wrong track. There we go. This is panned far right, just so that it's very intentionally hidden. And once again, we have the impacts right here. That's also coming from the stock Wurlitzer, stock electric pianos from Logic. It's actually take a stairway to 7 minutes in heaven at 10 she's 11. Alright, so we decided to go with this chorus vamp to fade here. So we have, well, solo to bridge and then chorus to fade, and so towards that end section it's just the everything is just running. Oh yeah, hold on, forgot one thing. So we have trumpets here as well. These are really fucking corny sounding trumpets, honestly. I was really big on trumpets before because I believe those really did help the song sound a lot more jazzy, and so those trumpets are actually from Logic as well. The stock horns. Let me see. Full brass, I believe it's called. Full brass, yeah. And so this, I actually had to record a different take of it a few times, just because putting it under the staccato mode actually does not do that for the MIDI that's already recorded. It does it only for the MIDI that's being recorded for some reason. So that's layered, of course. So there's there's 2 layers on top of that. So yeah, that comes just specifically from here and on the staccato mode. I believe I took all the effects off and then just did some processing in Ableton. It was probably a slight delay, and a tip that my dad gave me for these horns is to put just ever so slightly, just slight delay on it. And that's a little bit on here. I used this widener. I honestly don't think I used this correctly, but the intent was with the widener was just to have it panned more or less to like both sides of the just to kind of simulate that, like, you know, a band performance and you have them in the back playing the trumpets and trombones. Honestly, these lyrics are one of my most favorite lyrics in the fucking world. So shout out Maris for that. Honestly, such a fucking amazing job at writing the lyrics for this song. And so ending with this, we just have the a fade out there, one of my favorite albums. And And so I did a throw with that one, so that it basically just, this is the decay time on here, and this is just automated to go up. And with the rest of the track, it fades out. And that pretty much like kind of sums it up. But we have a few more things to break down, just like the vocal processing.
I bet you're upstairs at a party.
So, story about the vocal processing actually, and the vocal production. My stepmom had a friend in New York, which honestly we were so fucking fortunate to have, and Maris honestly just happened to live in New York as well, so we were able to get them to meet up and also record. This was recorded off of, I'm not sure which mic it was, but all I know is that our friend of ours, he recorded it onto like an iPad, GarageBand on an iPad. So honestly, like, you know, as long as you have the, I guess, a decent mic, you can honestly just record it onto an iPad, probably have it sound good. This is all just like later processing that just makes it sound good.
I bet you're upstairs at a party.
And so with the EQ here, honestly, I just went a little too much on it.
I bet you're upstairs at a party.
Kramer tape again running the
I
delay.
bet you're sipping on a 40. I bet you've never felt less sorry. I bet her pretty lips are boring.
So this glue compressor here, I usually use this to control the dynamics. And so every peak that you see in here, it kind of,
I bet her pretty.
it moves up to show that it's compressing that dynamic. So everything honestly just gets like squished so that there's more control that you have over it. Now this is honestly like, you know, Maris's voice is insanely dynamic, so this had to be automated a few times here just so that we can have a balance in how audible that it was. Specifically in that section, because you can see the waveform is pretty fat. And so that's about all that we're running on here. I do run a de-esser as well, just because for people who generally have like higher voices, it's pretty much required, just so that it controls those harsh tones. And so that right there, that's pretty much the entire like breakdown that we have. There isn't much to this song really. It's just keys, bass, some more keys, maybe one synth track, and also the lead vocals and these background vocals. Now the processing on these, I believe, was the same. Yeah, just a compressor on here. Once again, I did not use that right back then, and so yeah, these each have an individual EQ on them as well. Now these harmonies are honestly crazy, so we'll go ahead and solo these and take a look at them before we move on to the remaster of My Cup of Tea. And I'm gonna warn you guys too, for the My Cup of Tea remaster, the production on that also isn't as complex as my other tracks are. So honestly, I think after this I'll go ahead and show you guys like one of my unreleased songs, so that we can get it straightforward that I know what I'm doing now. But we have the low harm. So last thing we'll go over here is just the master. I had a post EQ, and everything I usually do is in for mastering is in Ozone. And so these are the settings that I have here. Honestly, back then I had no idea what I was doing with this either. Now I don't usually do this now. But if I do have Ozone in the master track for projects that are in progress, that's usually there just to simulate masters. Because honestly, when I do a simulated master, it just kind of reassures me that the mix is good. So yeah, that's the breakdown of 7 minutes right there. We ran about 23 tracks, and those 23 tracks honestly did a lot. I think we're sitting at 280k or 270k streams, and I honestly can't be more thankful for that. I'm gonna get some water real quick because I have like